Welcome to Capital Conversations. I'm Marty Owings.
And I'm Andi Friedel. Tonight on the program, we are going to talk about the marriage amendment with two legislators and an advocate. And then we'll talk to veteran political reporter Bill Salisbury from the Pioneer Press about the big redistricting news and other things going on at the Capitol this past week. Later in the show, we're going to have a special guest, musician Carrie Noble is going to join us.
As always, we invite your participation in our interactive weekly political show, so please send us a tweet at MN Capital News, or you can drop us a line on our Facebook page at MN Capital Conversations.
So we're pleased now to be joined by DFL Senator Scott Dibble from Minneapolis.
Thanks, Andi.
And Republican Representative Mark Buesgens, next to Marty here from Jordan.
My pleasure, Andi.
Nice that you're here. And also joining us tonight is Monica Meyer, Executive Director of Outfront Minnesota, an advocacy organization for LGBT issues.
Thanks.
Welcome. Now, last week there was an attempt to repeal the marriage amendment in committee meeting with another amendment to the voter ID bill. At first the chair sort of resisted that, but it eventually went along party line votes. Can you, Senator Dibble, talk about that a little bit?
Sure. The attempt to repeal or rescind, the appearance of the amendment on the November ballot was really a reflection of the fact that a number of legislators who voted for placing this constitutional amendment on the ballot November 6th have expressed a tremendous amount of regret. They've told people privately that they did not vote their conscience, that they did not think this was an appropriate matter for constitutional amendment, that this was governmental overreach into intrusion into people's lives, and they fundamentally didn't believe that it's proper to exclude some people from the Constitution, that marriage is something that they understand to be a good thing, a value we all share, and something that they wanted to be in a position to affirm. And so they really regretted their vote. And of course in the Senate we're talking about Republicans, because it was a party line vote on the floor of the Senate. So there were, the amendment passed with kind of a 4-vote margin. More than 4 Republican senators have expressed a significant amount of regret. So this is an attempt perhaps to allow them another opportunity to vote their true values, how they really feel personally about the issue. It failed, of course, in committee, but who knows, maybe it'll show up again.
Representative Buesgens, some of it sounds like campaign literature fodder, right? I mean, from the Republican standpoint, I heard some Republicans say, well, this is like their gotcha votes, and these amendments are going to come up to. But what's wrong with restating your position if you're morally whatever in tune with that?
Well, and thank you, Marty. I don't think it's a political gotcha vote at all. And I respect the fact that a legislator felt strongly enough about it to bring it up again. All right, let's have another vote. If there was indeed some regret, bring it up again. Let's have the debate. That's part of our system, and it's a good part of our system. So I don't see it as a gotcha vote. And you're right. If you have some convictions and you believe in them on either side of an issue, and this is one that people have strong convictions about on both sides, let's continue to have the debate.
Well, let me ask you about that, because some in your party have called putting the marriage amendment on the ballot a mistake. Do you think it might have some broader negative ramifications for the GOP in the fall, as the polls might suggest?
Oh, absolutely not. And I haven't heard a single legislator who voted for the marriage amendment to go on the ballot say it was a mistake. The ones who say it was a mistake were those who voted against it, and God bless them for standing by how they voted. But I haven't heard anyone who voted for it say it was a mistake.
We have a few more weeks, a couple months in the legislative session. Do you think we'll see any more of this, or do you think any more amendments, or will we go straight to November in the election?
It's hard to anticipate. I don't know the answer to that question. At some point, it becomes a matter of practical impossibility. I can't remember what that date is, but there is a date certain beyond which the appearance of the amendment on the ballot cannot be rescinded, and there's some trigger. I don't know what that is. So, and that's before the legislature adjourns. Okay. But we'll see. But the larger point is that there is now, regrettably, in my view, there's going to be likely to be. I don't think that an effort to rescind the amendment is going to be successful. I think we have kind of seen, leadership indicate very strongly that they're not interested in rescinding the Republican leadership, and we saw, this party line vote in the committee. There may be further attempts, but we have a campaign now on our hands, and I think it'll be a regrettable, negative campaign that won't really do anything to edify Minnesotans. I think it'll be distracting and discouraging to Minnesotans wherever they stand on this issue. We've seen that happen in about 30 other states where they've been very, very negative campaigns, and I think that's regrettable.
Well, I wanted to ask you, Monica Meyer, your organization has been, forgive the pun, out front on this issue for a long time, and what kind of things are you hearing from folks that you're working with, and maybe on both sides of the issues, because as a lobbyist, I think you're exposed up here to both sides of the issues. What do you hear? What are the arguments, and how is it becoming less constructive to talk about, as Senator Dibble pointed out?
Well, I think I'm an idealist. I've been doing this work for now over a couple decades, and I think we were. I know we were opposed to the amendment and did everything we could to stop it here at the Capitol. But I think now we have to look at what opportunities there are, and what we're finding is that Minnesotans are coming from all over the state together to defeat the amendment. And we see in places of worship where I think they're really emboldened by the steps that the Minneapolis Evangelical Lutheran Church of America, the stance that they took this past weekend to oppose the amendment. We're seeing Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and Green Party people come together and say this is where we can unify, this is where we have unity, and this is where we can really talk about the kind of values that we want to see in Minnesota. We want loving and committed couples to be able to be loving and committed and to be able to take care of each other for the rest of their lives. That marriage is a fundamental freedom that shouldn't be denied to anyone, and that we really think that this amendment is wrong for our state. And so I think from a Minnesotans United for All Families, that's the name of our campaign, that we're just finding that Minnesotans are really inspired by actually being able to articulate those kind of values and being able to come together with people who feel the same way that they do to be able to defeat it. So I think, on the other hand, I think that these are conversations we haven't had, and that our state is the better for it.
Well, I just have a quick follow-up on that for you, Representative Buesgens, and then on to you some questions. But there's a couple of different positions on this issue. Some in the GOP seem to get on the issue because it seems to be part of the platform. There's no real fundamental objection to same-sex marriage, but it's you're a good GOPer if you toe the line. And then there's others that are fundamentally against it because of religious reasons or what have you. Where do you stand on the issue?
Well, I'm going to take challenge with your first statement.
All right, sure.
That this is just a blind following of a platform. I don't believe on an issue that does have touches people at a moral core on both sides of the issue, that they're voting simply because it's in a party platform. I honestly don't believe that, and you saw that in the crossover votes on the House. So, I'm going to echo what Monica said. We're having the conversation, and that's a good thing. It really is. It's better for, especially on an issue like this, that the entire state engages in this conversation. And we really hash this out. We have the dialogue. We make the case on either side of the issue, and it's brought to the voters. There's a reason why our founders were wise enough to put into our Constitution a process for amending the Constitution because of very, very big issues.
Yeah, but they didn't put anything in the Constitution about gay marriage. And that didn't answer my question about where your position is.
And one could argue, of course, Marty, that they didn't contemplate gay marriage either. So
you're not suggesting gay people weren't around in the 1700s, are you? They weren't thinking about
Marty,
marriage.
let's not play a little gotcha here, because I don't want to go down that road. I don't think it is.
All right.
I really don't think it is.
Well, then where do you stand on the issue?
I voted for the amendment to be placed on the
And
ballot.
why? Why did you vote that
Because
way?
I believe that this is a fundamental issue. It's a societal issue. It's 150 years, over 500 references in our statute book, none of which contemplated homosexual relationships. All right, if that's going to change, all right, and I'll live with whatever the people decide, but it should be a decision of the people. Yes.
Well, let me challenge you back. Aren't there some laws and rules against gay marriage already in place in statute?
Oh, there most certainly is, and I'll ask the advocates or the opponents of the amendment, do we want to change those? Is it a fundamental goal to change what's in statute right now?
Well, if the question is, should families, people who are arguably of minority status, should they be able to, at some point, try to press for a change in the laws to recognize their fundamental fairness and freedom, or should we use the Constitution to completely cut minority people out of the ability to continue to pursue their rights? That's really the question in front of us. And really the question in front of us is, do we really support and affirm the good things about marriage? And do we really want folks to have stable, loving relationships? Do we want to define some people as family and other people as not family? That's the question in front of Minnesotans. And Representative Buesgens said we're going to have a conversation implying that this is going to be a civil and polite conversation that's really a discussion of the facts and who's family and who's deserving of basic fairness and fundamental freedoms that are guaranteed in our Constitution. And I share Monica's optimism because I see young people stepping forward, really energized to participate in this campaign in very positive ways. But I haven't seen the example, and we already see the evidence of the proponents of this campaign engaging in tactics of disinformation, lies, mischaracterizations of who and what gay people are and the position that they occupy in our society. So absolutely, I believe I'm married. I got married in the state of California to my husband, the person with whom I have made a lifelong commitment. We are family as much as everyone else in this state is family, but we have no legal relationship to each other in Minnesota. And what Representative Buesgens proposes to do is to take our Constitution, which is designed to protect the rights of every person in our state, minority status, whatever their income is, the color of their skin, it doesn't matter, and say, you don't get to enjoy the protections of the Constitution. You're cut out forever. You're less than. You're less worthy. So that's the conversation we're going to have in Minnesota. I hope that it's a free and fair and polite and civil conversation. I fear it's not going to be, and that's what I regret about this.
Well, it can be. It can be if if we stick to the facts, all right, and we don't paint other people in whatever colors we choose to paint them in. Senator Dibble said what Representative Buesgens wants. No, I didn't say that, Senator. I said that if this is going to change, it should change by a vote of the people. I haven't said one way or the other how I personally am going to vote, all right? I'm saying as a state representative, if this is going to change, it should be changed by a vote of the people. Senator Dibble didn't answer the fundamental question that you asked, Marty. You said, are there statutes out there which already protect marriages between a man?
I'm getting conditioned to that around here. You know that?
And
I'm always asking questions and not getting the answers. I don't know what the heck's
well,
going on.
and the answer, of course, is that yes, indeed, there is a movement to change
Well,
the
let me give you
definitions
another
and to
chance.
change the statutes.
Because, and we'll get to Senator Dibble in a second, but I asked why you were against the issue. What was your fundamental objection? Are you not ready to answer that right now?
Well, because that wasn't what was before me on the House floor. what was
Whatever was on the
before me-
floor, what are you going to vote, yes or no on
Well,
the thing?
and the beauty of a democracy is we get to pull the curtains,
You don't
Marty.
want to say it.
Well, because that isn't the point, and that isn't the issue. Where Mark
Right.
Buesgens stands isn't the issue. It's where the people of Minnesota
One of
stand, and they all
201
get to
people
vote.
up here making the law.
And
I think it's significant, but
And-
we can leave
but
it.
Well, let's,
but we get
let's
back
change
to
it a
what
little bit,
is the
'cause
issue.
let's talk about the money that's coming into these campaigns, and it's a lot of money from outside Minnesota is one of the things that Mike Dean from Common Cause sort of guessed, because there were some issues with the latest campaign finance reports that a lot of the money is unknown where it's coming from.
Not in our campaign.
Okay.
And the other side, yes, millions of dollars coming in to fund the proponents of this measure. We've been raising our money in Minnesota in very small chunks from regular people.
So get more specific about where that money's coming from and what small chunks means.
Contributions of $100 or less from 5,000 plus
Monica,
people.
you know?
I mean, so there's been the majority of the money that's coming into Minnesotans United for All Families is from Minnesota, and it's from over 5,000 people who have said, this is where I want to invest. I want to invest in defeating this amendment, and I'm investing early. And so our money is predominantly from Minnesotans, your everyday Minnesotans.
And let me add on to that, very transparent as well. The proponents of this measure, however, hundreds of thousands of dollars from a mysterious few sources, laundered through some shell organizations so that those contributors are hidden from view. They've been arguing from the first day to hide from view who's contributing, many, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it seems like there's some other agenda afoot here.
Now, one of the arguments they're making is that they're worried about a backlash or harassment, and so the proponents of this amendment are actively challenging campaign finance reporting laws.
Well, and
Representative Buesgens, you have a
yeah, and I don't follow the campaign on this issue, so I can't speak intelligently to it. And I hope you do bring somebody on from the other side who can give, who can at least counter and the rhetoric, and that's where things are going to get ugly. When we hear the rhetoric from one side saying, it's hidden, it's laundered money, it's that's not healthy to use those kind of inflammatory words. I can't speak intelligently on either side of the issue where the money's coming from or how it's being funded, and I'm not involved in the campaign.
Is it important to you, though, that there's transparency?
Absolutely.
So let me ask you, Senator Dibble, where do you stand on the issue, and will you be pulling the curtain, or can you say how you'll vote right
Well,
now?
I'll be campaigning actively in opposition to the amendment. I will vote against it. To answer Representative Buesgens' question directly, I absolutely think marriage is a positive thing for all loving, committed couples. Absolutely. I think that's something that we should achieve in Minnesota. I know I pulled no punches on that.
Right, okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Representative Buesgens, what are you hearing from your constituents?
I'm hearing from my constituents that this is an important issue, that they don't want it decided by 201 legislators, or they don't want it decided by a very small group of Supreme Court justices. On this issue, they want to vote, and they're looking forward to having that opportunity.
So they're happy with the opportunity to vote in November?
Absolutely.
Okay. How about you, Senator Dibble?
Well, probably not a surprise. I'm hearing quite the opposite.
They don't want to have the option to vote on.
Yeah, that folks really think that this is an attempt to manipulate passion and public opinion and foreclose the ability for folks to pursue frankly, their God-given rights to freedom, fairness, and opportunity. And we're going to use the Constitution to put people further away from fundamental fairness and fundamental freedoms, and we're gonna actually violate the values and the principles of our system, that everyone is created equal, everyone's born equal in the eyes of the law, and that we protect the rights of the minority, and frankly, it's a repudiation and a judgment on some families, saying that some families in Minnesota aren't worthy. That's what I'm hearing everywhere I go. It's not just in my district; it's all over the state of Minnesota.
Monica, what do you think? But it gives people the option to stand up and say. I think the poll in November had it kind of pretty evenly divided in support of the amendment and against. What do you think about the option for people to directly vote rather than having their representatives?
We've been opposed to this amendment when it was first introduced in 2003, actually, and really, I think it does turn into a really divisive fight. It can polarize our state. But since it's on the ballot, I think this is really our opportunity to really have Minnesotans stand up for other Minnesotans and say, you know, I believe everyone should be treated fairly. I want people to be treated just like me, and I don't want to deny any fundamental freedoms or opportunities to anyone. And so, you know, now we're hearing from a lot of Minnesotans who want to join in that kind of a campaign. It's positive. It's about bringing people together. It's about talking about what our state could be if it really did fundamentally welcome all families, really honor all families. And I think there's a lot of people too saying, you know, this amendment, at the end of the day, there's not a single family that's furthered. We're not helping any family and their marriage. We're not, you know, that fundamentally it does harm. And so I think that's what we'll see more and more Minnesotans talking about.
Well, listen, we want to thank all three of you for, Mark, Representative Buesgens, did
Yes,
you
sir.
have something you wanted to add here?
No, I think
Okay.
the conversation was good. I thank you for that. And Marty, just funning with you, I'm voting for the amendment.
Breaking news.
I appreciate whenever you come on, because you always wind me up. It helps. I always appreciate that about you.
Now, before we,
You imagine I used to be sandwiched between him and Emmer. And they would just, one would be on either side, you can imagine how much fun that was. For all of us. No, I just teased him.
before I let you guys go though, redistricting news today, and
Right.
Senator Dibble, you have been paired with a fellow Democrat,
Right.
Ken Kelash.
Ken Kelash, yeah.
Tell me what's going to happen.
Well, you know, it's a difficult situation. Ken and I are friends. He lives only a few blocks from me. I'll be running. There's no doubt about it. The district is mostly my old district, but I want to be respectful of Ken and the process he needs to go through. I know he's looking at his options. We spoke just a little bit ago, and he's looking at his options. The district to the south of where he is much of where he used to represent, and is where he grew up, Richfield. So he's.
But there's no open seats closer around.
Yeah, the district is open to
Oh,
the
it
south
is
of him.
open.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So that'll be an open district where he grew up. He's looking at his options, but I want to be respectful of his process. But I'm absolutely running for re-election.
And you're safe.
Well, thank you.
Well, I'm not calling it, I'm just saying.
Well, he has to
Aren't you-
run, but
Jordan's it's a pretty safe district, as they say.
Well, it has a solid GOP index, that is correct. But I no longer live in Jordan. I now live in Savage, which is in the northern part of the district. I haven't
Right.
seen the map, so I don't know how
no,
everything is.
your area wasn't redistricted into 3, was it?
Okay.
Your
No,
congressional-
I
We'll
still
talk
believe.
more about
I
this.
believe
Okay.
it's still.
We'll ask Bill
I
Salisbury when
was-
he comes on.
All right.
You stick around, he'll tell us.
Okay.
We do have to wrap up that this segment, though. I just wanted to thank each one of you for coming on.
Thanks,
and
Marty. Thanks,
Thank you.
Andy.
Thank
Sharing
you.
your
Thanks,
time with
Andy.
us, and
Thank you, Marty.
always a pleasure,
All
Representative
right.
Buesgens. First time for you, Senator Dibble, but we hope to have you back.
All right, I look forward to it.
Monica, good to see you again. When we come back, veteran reporter Bill Salisbury joins us with his take on all the happenings up here at the Capitol, including redistricting. We'll be right back after this message.